American allies in the Middle East and beyond are trying to shoot down a barrage of drones and missiles as Iran retaliates for the start of the conflict. Lawmakers on Capitol Hill are showing support for the president to launch the strikes with votes on resolutions meant to limit his ability to carry out the attacks. Natalie Brand has more details from the White House.
Smoke could be seen rising over Doha as Iran steps up retaliatory attacks on U.S. allies in the Middle East.
We were attacked. The aggressors are responsible for the consequences.
CBS News has learned Arab states say they're running dangerously low on interceptors to take down missiles fired from Iran. U.S. Central Command released this video Thursday arguing the Iranian regime's ability to impact U.S. forces and regional partners is rapidly declining.
Somebody said, on a scale of 10, where would you rate it? I said about a 15. And we're going to continue to do well.
President Trump on Wednesday again sought to make the case that Iran was going to strike first.
I think if we didn't do it first, they would have done it to Israel and give us a shot if that was possible.
Iran's foreign minister called the U.S. sinking of an Iranian ship in international waters an atrocity and added, quote, "Mark my words, the U.S. will come to bitterly regret the precedent it has set."
U.S. lawmakers' support for the operation remains split largely along party lines. A war powers resolution aimed at limiting further military action failed in the Senate.
The yeas are 47, the nays are 53. The motion to discharge is not approved.
But some GOP lawmakers who approve of the administration's actions are signaling that could change if this expands in scope.
My view has always been ground troops will require congressional authorization. So they're currently none involved, none have been involved, and they're following the War Powers Act.
Later today, the House will vote on a War Powers resolution, but it also seems likely to fail. Natalie Brand, CBS News, the White House.
Well, nerves over the conflict are spreading to the Mediterranean as well. Officials in Sicily reported receiving emergency calls asking if the island was being bombed when a minor earthquake struck on Thursday. Sicily, more than 2,600 miles away from Iran, also houses U.S. and NATO military bases. Meanwhile, Americans are now trying to leave the Middle East. The State Department says that it has helped over 6,500 citizens evacuate so far, while another 10,000 made it out on their own. Charter flights are being organized, including one that departed on Wednesday night. The White House.
So when there are commercial flights moving into that area, when there are chartered flights moving into that area, we can get Americans on planes as quickly as possible.
This week, gas prices have jumped 11 cents a gallon as tanker traffic slows into the U.S., a direct impact of the conflict in the Middle East. The administration is offering naval escorts and insurance to keep shipments moving safely. Well, in other news, the Trump administration is stepping up efforts against drug trafficking. U.S. forces are planning new operations in Ecuador targeting designated terroristic organizations. In a statement, U.S. Southern Command says that both countries will take, quote, decisive action. Pentagon officials would not provide details on the operations or the groups being targeted. The White House's Operation Southern Spear has already taken out at least 151 people that are linked to alleged drug boats in the Caribbean and Eastern Pacific. We have new information today out of Sebastian County. Investigators say an autopsy report ruled that Charity Bialis was a death by suicide, while her twin children's deaths were homicides. Investigators say the day before Charity Bialis and her children were found shot to death at their Bonanza home, Charity and her husband, Dr. Randall Bialis, met at the courthouse for a final divorce and custody hearing. Her husband pleaded guilty to a domestic abuse charge in February of 2025. And Charity filed for divorce in March. Investigators say Tesla and cell phone records do not place her husband near the home at the time of the deaths. Lawyers for Randall Bialis released a statement responding to the investigation, saying in part, if you take a look at your screen, this is a look at that. They say Mr. Bialis continues to recover from the tragic event that took his children from him. He would like to thank all of the law enforcement officials working on this case for their diligent efforts to find the truth. We were not surprised by the findings in the autopsy, as we knew that Mr. Bialis was not responsible for the death of his wife nor his children. Well, the sheriff's office says detectives are still executing search warrants and the investigation remains open. Well, several CDL training programs in our area are under federal review following a nationwide crackdown on driver training providers. The Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration recently investigated more than 1,400 programs across the country, citing hundreds for violations like unqualified instructors and improper training vehicles. The trucking industry remains a major part of Arkansas's economy, employing 1 in 11 Arkansans and moving about 80% of the state's freight. Industry leaders say maintaining strong training standards is critical for both public safety and the profession.
From our perspective, it's actually a good sign that there is some guardrails in place, that the regulators are checking up and making sure that those who have identified themselves as certified training providers are in fact checking the boxes and doing the things that they're supposed to be doing.
The city of Fort Smith was one of the programs on the list. Officials say that their entry-level driver training program was notified of administrative findings during the review and has voluntarily paused training while waiting confirmation from the Department of Transportation. Well, construction is underway for the Oz Trails Bike Park in Bella Vista. The park, located at US 71 and Mercy Way, has made significant progress since we first brought you this story back in January. 5 News reporter Claire Everbach visited the park today and gives us an update.
A lot of progress has been made in the park since we first told you about this story in January. One of the most exciting parts of the park is this chairlift behind me that's also now complete. Park leaders say about 85% of the trails are now finished. That's 16 of the 18 planned miles. The bike lift, which carries both riders and their bikes, is the first of its kind in Arkansas. The park will also feature a bike rental shop and a restaurant, making it a destination for more than just mountain bikers. General Manager Gary Vernon says the goal is to make the park a place for all residents.
So if you've never ridden a mountain bike, this will be the place you can come and learn how to ride. If you don't ride a bicycle, we want you to come and ride the lift because the lift itself is so fun to ride. You can ride up and stay on the lift and ride back down, or you can ride up, get off and hike down one of the hiking trails we'll have. There's going to be art up on top of the lift and then on the trails and then down the plaza. We're just going to have a lot of fun here. You don't have to be a cyclist to come to the Oz Trails Bike Park.
No official grand opening date has been announced yet, but the park is still on track to open early this summer. In Bella Vista, covering news where you live, Claire Everbach, 5 News.